Okay, so our next speaker is a trained clinical psychologist, and with a BA and MA in this domain, I didn't have to say anything. There is no one more qualified to give us a peek into dystopian reality in which humans are completely addicted to rectangular devices that beep in their pockets and take them wherever they go, your phones. So please welcome Dubinsky.
Thank you. How are you doing, everyone? So a few weeks ago, I got a call from an unidentified number. And as I picked up the phone, a man's voice replied, "Hi, Jonathan, how are you?" Well, I didn't recognize the speaker, so I just mumbled, "Okay." "My name is Dan from Yes, and I'll mention to our colleagues overseas that Yes is a major TV service provider here in Israel. Tell me," he said, "do you like movies?" Well, of course I like movies, so I said yes. "What kind of movies?" he asked. "Well, I like action movies, sci-fi, comedy." "That's great," he said. "Have you heard of our latest deal, which include the best sci-fi and action movie channels?" Well, I haven't heard, and now I had to hear it, so I asked him, "How much does it cost?" And as you can see, conversation shifted to be very much sales-oriented. Eventually, I actually took that deal. Now, I want us to get back for a second to the way this particular salesperson approached me. He was using a technique which is called foot in the door. Foot in the door is a psychological compliance technique, which involves getting a person to agree to a large request by first having that person agree to a small request. So by asking me if I like movies, the sales representative actually increased the odds of me complying with the bigger request, which is buying TV services. Salespersons are doing that all the time, and digital products are doing that as well. One of the ways digital products are using push notifications, one of the ways in which digital products are using that technique is by push notifications. So, what goes through your head when you get such a notification? Like, you're probably thinking, okay, I'll just check out that comment and then get back to doing whatever I was doing before, right? At least that's the constant lie that we're telling ourselves. Because the truth is that once you get in, you will not get out so fast. Oh no. What you'll do is something else. You will scroll. Why? Because there's personalized content literally at the verge of your fingers, and it's infinite. With the rise of social media platforms about 10 years ago, a new mobile behavior became more and more prominent. A scroll which have no end. A constant feed of tweets and posts and photos and articles which just goes on and on. So, why do we scroll? Because it is a bottomless bowl. The bottomless bowl study is a famous study which was conducted at the Food and Brand Lab. In this study, researchers created a self-refilling soup bowl. Yes, you've heard it, right? It's a bowl of soup which have a tube at the bottom which pumps soup into the bowl at a steady pace as the participant ate. The goal of this study was showing the effects visual cues have on food intake. Now, it's the soup Nazi nightmare, right? Participants who ate from the bottomless bowl consumed 73% more than participants who ate from the normal bowl and took refills as they wished. This study showed us that people tend to rely on visual cues when eating. Now, if the visual cues are biased, this may lead to overconsumption. Now, let's take this effect and import it into the world of user experience. What kind of visual cues do we have on the internet? Visual cues that can help us to moderate our consumption. So let's check out Amazon, for example. Okay, let's assume that I'm looking for smartphones. And I'm scrolling, right? At a certain point, I'll reach some sort of a mental stop sign or a mental T section, and which obligates me to take a decision. Am I proceeding in my search, or have I had enough, right? Have I found what I'm looking for? And the visual cue here is the almost insignificant UI control, which is called pagination. So stumbling upon pagination is like finishing your bowl of soup and thinking, am I still hungry, or do I want to take an extra dish? It is exactly what infinite scroll does not have. Now, infinite scroll is not a recommended behavior for every website. Norman Nielsen, a leading user experience consulting firm, have said it back in 2014. They said that endless scroll is not a good choice for websites that support goal-oriented finding tasks, which is basically what most of the internet is about. They've also said, and that's a great quote, that for task-driven activities, endless scroll can feel like drowning in an information abyss with no end in sight. That's harsh, yeah, I know. So it seems like endless scroll is a mean to keep us connected. The notifications pull us in, the scroll keeps us in. But why? Why does some products want us to stay connected, even though it does not engage us in achieving our goals? Norman Nielsen did not answer that question. It is a wider economic question with philosophical implications, because it revolves around the freedom of choice and the gap between how we spend our time and how we want to spend our time. The person who did tackle those questions was Tristan Harris. Harris, a former Google product manager, has started a movement which is called Time Well Spent. It is a movement that says that what we feel is an addiction is actually part of something much bigger. Our craving for our smartphones is part of the attention economy. The attention economy is an economy in which companies trade with our attention. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of these products have a common business KPI, which is maximizing the time users are using the platform. Now, all of these products are free for us to use. However, every time we use them, multiple financial transactions takes place, and we don't have to click an ad for it to happen. They're selling impressions or eyeballs, as some marketers call it. Now, these companies and many more have to use increasingly persuasive techniques to keep us glued to our screen. They have to do it. There's a huge competition over our attention, and that is the way to make profit. The result of this economy is our tech addiction. We use smartphones much more than we would have wanted, and we do that instead of communicating with the people around us. We check them all the time to see if we got a message, a like, a comment, anything. And since we're performing this check and we're getting the reward after an unpredictable number of times we do the check, it is what learning experts call a variable ratio reinforcement. It's a slot machine. And it's no coincidence that in English, the phrase is to pay attention. It is a resource that we pay with. But, I know this sounds rather gloom, however, 2018 actually started with a spirit of change. Mark Zuckerberg published just a few weeks ago a statement about the goals of Facebook for 2018. And he opened that statement with the following sentence. One of our big focus areas for 2018 is making sure the time we all spend on Facebook is time well spent. Now, he chose to use that specific phrase because Facebook is aware of their role as a leader in this domain, and they're aware of their responsibility, and they're starting to take small steps in the right direction. I believe this as the food industry has changed and is changing in the past decades into a more healthy approach. For example, by reducing MSG and promoting organic food sections in supermarkets. And same as the energy industry is changing as well, investing in renewable energy, sustainable energy, and supporting a more green approach. So does the tech industry can change. It can change by nurturing digital products which respect the user autonomy, minimize distractions, and supports our goals. This change will happen once tech leaders will internalize good products have to be compassionate as well. Compassionate for our most vulnerable human instincts. And as user experience professionals, we see ourselves committed for this cause. Compassion in design and in policy is what will make technology better for us and for our children. Thank you.